What do you say to a statement that Pritzker said this earlier? Actually, said it earlier this year, right before it got passed. He said the goal is to address the economic disparities of the criminal justice systems. I mean, we have laws. Laws apply to each and every one of us. Do you think there's any disparity in the law and the way that it's viewed between here, Chicago, Winfield, downstate? I mean, is this really an issue?
Judges already have that discretion. I mean, we've seen it in Chicago, right? We've seen people who have committed violent acts and they're let out on their own recognizance. So judges already have this discretion. So that's just, complete hogwash that this is what this law does. What this law does is it restricts judges from having judgment like they currently have.
How maddening is it for a municipality? Orland's a nice town. You've got a big mall there. You've got a lot of shopping there. Summer of 2020, we had a lot of problems, yet we don't see people get prosecuted, and that, of course, dumbs down arrests. Here in Chicago, my goodness, you can't even chase anybody anymore. It kind of throws off a signal, I mean, at least to me, that, you can pretty much get away with anything you want around here.
That's the signal, certainly, that Kim Foxx has sent. She acts more like a public defender than she does a prosecutor, and that's certainly provided challenges for Orland Park. But what we've done is we've taken a very proactive approach. We spend more money on evidence collection. We don't go to the state for evidence processing. We go to private labs, so we get it back in 24 hours. We have them in custody by the time we get it, and we produce so much evidence that we get charges. But not every community has the resources that we have to do that.
That was going to be my next question is, what does that cost you?
It costs us a lot. But for us, given the fact we have a mall, we have 12 million square feet of retail, it's critical to make sure that we do that. So we invest those resources in that. But a lot of towns don't have those kind of resources to do that. And, we're seeing crime everywhere. And in Orland Park, we've managed to lower our index crimes, but that's because we've taken a really proactive approach to getting people off the streets before they commit another crime against persons or property.
Mayor Keith Pecaw is with us right now. He's the mayor of Orland. We're talking about the Safety Act. I know that Tinley Park is starting to speak up on this as well. How do you think the ripple effect is going to be from other towns now that, towns like your contemporaries in Tinley Park, other folks, Glasgow, they're talking about this. Do you think there's any chance this gets walked back a little bit?
I'm hopeful that it does. South Barrington's done something about it. Lockport has talked about it as well. I've gotten calls from other mayors also. So these are all places that are taking a look at this to try and push back on it, because we all know how dangerous it's going to be on January 1st. And what's surprising to me is for 21 months this has sat here, and the press hasn't really picked it up. And even if we think about now, really it was the national press that picked this up, and the local press really wasn't running with this. And this is extremely dangerous on January 1st. Not only the bond issues, but the fact that trespassing has been lowered to a shall issue citation offense, which means that they can't lay a hand on someone to remove them from your property if they're trespassing. Think about how dangerous that is if someone decides to take residence in your property or your business.
Mr. Mayor, I always said, for Chicago to stand up and take notice, the crime's going to have to hit Orland. It's going to have to hit Naperville. It's going to have to hit Barrington. And in many instances it has, but yet, as you said yourself, still the media gives this a pass. I don't quite understand it. Let me ask you another question. Here on Michigan Avenue, 30% vacancy rate. Pretty soon you're going to be seeing Spirit Halloween and firecracker outlets opening up on one of the greatest streets in the world. Have you seen any exodus, or have you kind of led the way by things that we're talking about right now? Have you seen an exodus in businesses, or have you been able to kind of hold it together?
In Orland Park, we've been able to hold it together. I mean, we've seen some retail decline because of the retail market in general, but we haven't seen that problem. In fact, businesses that want to come into Chicago, retail-oriented, have opened first in Orland Park in many cases because they like the fact that we stayed open during COVID, because they like the fact that we've lowered crime and we take a tough stance on criminals. So that's really helped us. But let's face it, if Chicago continues to decline, it hurts all of the surrounding communities. We need a vibrant Chicago to have vibrant suburbs. In the long run, we may benefit in the short run from businesses leaving Chicago and coming to the suburbs, but it'll hurt us in the long run.
Yeah, I just don't get it. As you mentioned, the wonderful COVID we went through, and now with the inflation going the way it is, these people in outer lying areas are having a hard time having people show up. It's hard enough to keep a business open, let alone with tax burdens and everything else, and now with the Safety Act. But hey, man, I like what you're doing there. Keep at it, and good luck to you. I think it's a great idea.